Good morning, Crystal. How are you, man?
Good morning, Jevon. How are you today? It's a beautiful Monday morning. The sun is out, and I got some rest. That was a good
Good,
thing.
good.
I got some rest, and the weekend was fantastic, and I'm cool. And how about yours? How was your
You
weekend?
know, my weekend was great. It was very, very, very peaceful. I decided not to do the things that I was supposed to do, so I still
Oh,
have laundry, and
okay.
I and um, and I had a really great dinner last night. So it's good. I woke up this morning, every day above ground. You know what I mean? Every day.
Especially in this day and era, day
Yeah.
and time, anything above ground. Yeah, we had a great dinner. We actually used herbs from the garden to fix our chicken last night. It was absolutely
Oh,
fantastic.
my goodness, that sounds amazing.
I know,
Amazing.
huh?
Yeah. I made
Yeah.
this fish dish that was really good. So supposed to be Mediterranean, but very easy so I could understand how to do it. And it worked out very well. Very well. I'll have to
Okay.
send you the recipe. It was very good.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, we used rosemary and thyme and garlic and lemon yesterday on our chicken, and it was
Oh,
great.
wow.
And it
Oh,
was
that sounds
great.
great.
And the herbs came straight from our garden. Went right down,
Nice.
clipped them off, and washed them, and threw them on in, and grinded them up, and
Great.
did what we had to do, and it was awesome.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, I'm excited about today's topic because, normally I talk about retirement plans, but this is just a little different. First of all, though, I want to thank you for submitting the article that you did about medicine once you retire, and that's a great article. I want to bring along one of my colleagues to talk about how to prepare for that, what that actually means to people. So, if you can give me a week or two to do that, we'll be in good shape.
Oh, that'd
It's
be
something I don't
fantastic.
really focus on. Yeah,
That'd be
so we'll do that.
fantastic. It was so funny, now that we're doing this, conversations come up all the time. And so my brother-in-law, um, recently retired, and so he's just now selling into the retirement mindset, right? And so
Hmm.
he had gone out yesterday to the Oxnard um, outlets, and he came back. He was gone pretty much all day, and he came back. It's like, well, what did you buy? He goes, I'm retired. I have to watch my money. I was like,
There you go.
okay.
There
So
you go.
a
There you go.
conversation to be had as well. Your mindset changes when
Oh,
you're in
most definitely.
retirement mode, right? So we
Yep.
have to do a show on that one, how the mindset changes.
That's true. And we've done some things sort of like that. I'm just going to turn my phone off. I'm sorry. We've
Hmm.
done some things sort of like that, but not quite that pointed. But I think that's an excellent idea.
Hmm.
It'd be cool even to bring someone who happens to be retired on the show just to see how their life is different, you know?
Right. Yeah,
So,
I think so. So some pros and some cons, right? Because not
mhm.
everybody, and it's always, And I know my brother-in-law the other day was saying somebody he had heard had just retired, and then of course, and this happens quite often, they became ill right after, and so all of those wonderful plans that they had was now gone, right? And also their mates, all the plans of being together and traveling and being free
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
themselves and with no responsibilities, well, it all of a sudden changes. So there's another side to it, and you have to prepare for all sides of it.
Yeah, we talked about that on a former show, and we talked about, having issues, and thinking that they were going to get better in retirement, and they don't. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't have a strong marriage, then getting into retirement is probably not going to make it better.
Mm-mm.
So, it's a good time to to make those changes now, and adjust who you are now. But I want to get to this show. But first, before we do that, let's talk about who Crystal Mitchell is.
Okay.
Okay. Number one, Crystal Mitchell is, well, thanks for being on the show, but
Oh,
a
thank you.
business coach and consultant, CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co director of Recycling Black Dollars, co host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, a weekly online radio show, instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Thank you so much for joining us, Crystal. Crystal.
Oh, it's
Whew.
a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting.
You bet. And I'm Jevon Thomas. I'm a retirement plan advisor, and we're here to talk about 4 other ways to save for retirement. But let me do another shout out for you, Crystal. You put me in touch with your co-host, Gilbert, and he reached
Hmm.
out to me. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, cool.
Right,
That's what
yeah.
it's all
So
about,
let's.
right?
There you go. There you
sharing,
go.
sharing in the network.
Yeah, there you go. Sharing. Sharing is caring. There you go.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I read an article a few weeks ago. It's called 4 Other Ways to Save for Retirement. And I thought it'd be important to bring this out because so many times people are in an interesting position when it comes to what they think about saving for retirement. Some folks are saying, I don't have enough money to do that. Some folks are saying, oh, I want to put away more money. And how do I do that? Where do I put it? And I think also some folks have a tough time figuring out how to think about retirement. So we've got 4 ways. I'll just read them all off and then we can talk about
Okay,
it. The
sounds good.
first, yeah. So the first way is HSA, getting one of those. The second one I think is very important. That is get out of debt. And the third one is reduce fees. And the fourth one is life insurance. So any comments about that or you just want to jump right in?
Let's jump right in, but first tell everybody what was it? HS.
HSA.
Yes, you're gonna
Yeah.
tell them what that
Yeah.
is, right? Okay.
You bet. You bet. So an
All right. So
HSA
yes.
is a health savings account. And I'm not exactly sure when those came about. I want to say not too long ago, a few years ago. But what they do is they allow people currently, that is, folks here now in 2021, they allow people to put away $3,600, if my notes are correct, $3,600 a year. That's an average one person. A family, you
Hmm.
can put away up to $7,200. But if you have a high deductible health plan, you can put away, or no plan, you can put away $3,600 to use for medical expenses. So that works really well if you have a high deductible plan, right? When your
Hmm.
deductible has to be so much. So you can put money away. And it usually happens when you're young. You put money away. And that way, by the time you reach a certain age, you have the ability to meet your deductible. The cool thing about that is if you don't use that money for medical expenses, so you can use it for medical expenses tax deferred. If you don't use that money for medical expenses, you can use it to buttress your retirement plans when you get older. So think of taking another $3,600 off your check if you do it pre-tax.
Hmm.
Think of having that money just in case you need it for medical expenses and realizing that if you don't need a medical expense, you can always use that money or part of that money once you retire to live on, to take out tax deferred, to add to your uh, other qualified monies. But you'll have to pay taxes on it. But it's just
So
another
once
pool of money.
just another pool, so it's housed at your with your employer. I mean, wherever that's the account, right?
Usually, yeah,
And
usually.
and you can take it out. Like I said, if you were having health issues, and let's say you have to have a big surgery, and you've accumulated this money, then you can pull it out to be used for that.
You can pull it out to be used as your deductible because many folks have a plan where they have a deductible that's quite high,
Yeah,
and
mine's a little
so
high.
yeah, so you could start saving money away in a tax deferred manner, so it can reduce
Mm-hmm.
your tax liability while you're doing it. That's cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then, of course, the reasoning is that you put that money in pre-tax, you use it for some kind of medical issue that you have, and it doesn't have to be surgery. I mean, you could use it for in between. Most high deductible plans will give you some yearly checkup things that they'll allow for, but sometimes more serious things that you need, they don't pay for that until you have met your deductible. So you can use this for that in between. You can use this to pay for medical expenses. And you can do it on a pre-tax basis. That's the real deal. If you
Okay.
take it out for not pre-tax basis, if you do it just because you want to buy a boat or something like that, then you have to pay the penalty and the taxes. So that's not so fun. right?
Okay, so
But
penalty and taxes, but if it's used for what it was designed for, then you're just paying the taxes on the amount that you pulled out.
No, I don't think you do have to pay the taxes on the amount you pulled
Oh,
out, right?
okay, cool.
Yeah,
Long as you're using it for your health,
for
for what it was
medical
designed
expenses.
for medical expenses. Okay,
Yeah,
all right. Well,
yeah.
that's a good plan. I remember those when I went, because I years ago, I worked in the health insurance industry, and I do remember those plans, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah. So they're a great
Yeah.
way to have some extra money in retirement, if you can
Okay.
start saving pre-tax. And I'll do some more research on whether you have to pay taxes on when you pull them out. I don't think you do if you use them for
Okay.
medical expenses.
Okay.
However, if you don't use them for medical expenses, you're certainly going to pay taxes on those. But if you're over the age of 59 and a half, then you don't have the penalty at least. You still have the taxes.
Okay.
So not a bad
Okay.
way to go if you need to save
No.
some money on top of the amount of money you're putting away in your retirement account. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
that's one way to go. Another thing is um, getting out of debt, and this is a tough one for me because so many people have the idea that they can live in an apartment until they retire. And even in the units that I live in, there are some folks that have been there for 20, 25 years, which is a
Mm-hmm.
long time to live in an apartment, but they're comfortable there.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to put that in the mix when it comes to determining how much they're going to need for retirement. I can tell you this, back when I started talking to people about retirement, we would say, well, you want to take all the money that you have that you're going to retire with. So, all the money in
Mm-hmm.
your 401k, all the money in your IRAs, all the Social Security money you're going to take, all of that money, put it in a
Mm-hmm.
big pot. Of course, you've got to talk to some folks to see how much that is. But put it in a big pot, and
Mm-hmm.
that money should generate, not equal, but generate 80% of your take home pay.
Mm.
80%. Now, I'm a little old, so you can see where those numbers came from. Yeah, so we'll just move right along. But now we say that, and we suggest it's 110% of your um, take home pay because we realize that when that people are living older and they're living healthier and they like to do stuff when they retire. So now folks want to travel, they want to get on their Harleys, they want to visit the state parks, they want to go to Europe or the Middle East or whatever, visit their grandkids, all that kind of stuff. So now we found out that people are spending more money in retirement rather than less. Right? We used
Right.
to think that you don't have to do dry cleaning anymore. You don't have to go to the store as much. You don't have to, you know, do the charity things as much. So you can sort of like slow down and spend less money. But now we realize that people are looking forward to doing all of that plus more. So they need more money. So reducing expenses is is a big one. And for many of us, it's the house. I mean, lots of
Mm.
people say that, your house is your biggest investment and da 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 da. I don't want to get into that, um,
Mm-hmm.
at least not on this show. But what I will say is that for so many of us, having that house payment not a part of our retirement really makes our retirement plan go dramatically further. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
you can just imagine, let's say your house payment is, I don't know, $2,500 or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And every month out of that Social Security that you get, which for a lot of folks is about $1,800,
Mm-hmm.
every month you're in the hole already, even though you have
Yes.
Social Security, right? So you want to, if you can, for most of us in this business, paying your house off before you retire is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reality of the situation is that that's not going to happen for a lot of Americans, right? Many of us are living in big cities where you live in an apartment, your folks lived in an apartment, and so you've got that monthly rent that you pay, and you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
doing that till the cows come home. Well, then
Mm-hmm.
that's where it is. Or you're in a situation where you don't want to do the mowing of the lawn or the whatever it is that people do when they have a townhouse or an apartment. So
Right.
there's that bill, and then there's also the property tax and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it is something to consider. But for many of us, paying your house off before you retire is a good thing, and depending on where that is.
Right. And also, we remember when we had your colleague on that talked about reverse mortgages. I
Yes,
think that's an option as well. But I do think you're absolutely on point, and I think that there's a lot of more conversation needs to be had on that, on your ownership of assets if you don't have any long term health care in the mix of that as well, because that's going to be a problem. That could be a problem. So I would say one would need to look at all of one's options and be open to making those changes.
I think you're absolutely right. I was talking with a physician once, and she said, you look at modern medicine and people compare it to medicine back in the day, and how people live, longer now. I mean, there was a time when they'd get to 45, 50 years old and they were pretty much done, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now people live until 80 or 90, and that's not because they're eating better food.
Right.
It's not because
Exactly.
the food is cleaner.
I
So,
no, of course not.
we look at the marvels of medicine. But she also suggested that people aren't necessarily living better,
Yes.
depending. I mean, you really have to take care of yourself. So, if you're one of those folks that, you know, is not necessarily well, or even well, I mean, there's just no way to say it. I mean, when are you going to go? You can either go fast, you can go slow, but you're going to go. And if
Mm-hmm.
you start going at 60 and you don't stop until 90, that's a lot of money.
That's a
And if you
lot
have
of
a house
money.
payment on top of that,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to
And
be
all of a
significant.
sudden, you're taking care of your health care, your own health insurance. So you
Mhm.
got to make sure you've added that in to that equation as well.
Mhm. Most
Mm-hmm.
definitely, most definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've got one more topic to go over. I'm wondering if we should introduce you again.
Not yet.
Not
Hey,
sure.
everybody, you know who I am.
Okay, so that was reducing fees. The
Okay.
other is, and I just want to cover this one broadly because it can get deep, and that is um, life insurance. Oh,
Mm.
this thing, I tell you, my goodness. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Everybody understands. Everybody got phones, and folks be calling, and Jevon is popular. He popular.
Not really. Not really. Oh my word. I could have sworn I turned this thing off. That's what power off means, right?
That's usually what that means. But electronics have a mind of their own.
Goodness gracious. I'm so sorry. Um, the last thing is, of course, life insurance. So, um, generally, we have two buckets: savings and
Mm-hmm.
investing, and
Mm-hmm.
then life insurance. So, we use life insurance for protection.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids are young and you want to make sure that if something happens to you, you can take care of them, or
Right.
you have some older folks that live with you, or some folks who have some mental insecurities, and so you want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that they are taken care of just in case you pass away, or your business is you. And if
Mm-hmm.
you go someplace, it's not going to be there. So you want to make sure your family's taken care of. So protection, that's what we use life insurance for. And then we use saving and investing to pay for things, right? And I'm just going to say it right now. Um, in my opinion, my humble opinion, you cannot invest your way into retirement. It just doesn't work. You
Mm-hmm.
have to save. I don't really care what wonderful, amazing portfolio you have, unless you put money in there, it's not going to get you there, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have to save. Got to save. So
Okay.
two different buckets: saving and investing, and life insurance. There are, however, some strategies in the world of life insurance where you can pull money out of that policy and you can use those assets, you can borrow them, in a tax-free way, and you can use those assets in order to buttress your retirement savings. So I'm not going to go into how that's done. And I'm sure every time you talk with someone who sells insurance, they're going to bring it up. They're going to let you know the best case scenario. So, to my friends that
Yes.
sell insurance, I'll buy the beer, but they will let you know what that can look like, right? And so that's something to consider. I would suggest that for most Americans, you want to
Hmm.
look at it as two buckets: life insurance for protection, 401k savings, investing so that you can reach the goals that you need. And then once you retire, now you can talk with that financial advisor, that planner, and say, okay, how do I make these two things work for me? And then I think you'll be surprised at what you can do with life insurance.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
pretty much all I want to say about that. Were you going to ask me a question?
Um, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think, but I wonder if everyone, because everyone, even from a child, right? Um, you think of, or when you're that it's just about the burial of a person, right? Not necessarily
Right.
looking at it. I think that's the general consensus of most folks. Not
Mm-hmm.
those that are financially astute, but most folks feel okay. I just need insurance, right? I just need the insurance to make sure that I can cover my burial, which is, a great part of it as well. But I think people are not quite as under knowing that it also is just another one of the vehicles that you can use in making your life better while you're alive, as well as betterment for your the people that you're leaving, your survivors, when you leave. And I think which is, I know it just seems like not possible, but I think in the earlier days, when young people, when our parents used insurance, or maybe our grandparents used insurance just to make sure that when they were gone, their children could bury them.
Oh, most definitely. Well, your and my grandparents thought
Yeah.
that, but folks with money didn't think that.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm
Those
saying. The
products,
people.
yeah, exactly. Those products were there, right?
Yeah.
It's just that some folks didn't know about them and some folks did,
Some
So
people
there's
didn't get the
always been,
memo. They didn't get
yeah,
the memo.
exactly. Very, very well said. Very well said. I think
Right.
you're absolutely correct. And and for that, if you don't know, you can't teach, right? And so you can't tell
Hmm.
someone. And so there's a lot of folks out there thinking exactly as you say. But you can use insurance to protect your assets, your house, your cash, your
Hmm.
qualified plan as well. And that's the way to take a look at it. So the reason that we have insurance is so that we don't have to take out of that cash that we've accumulated, right? So if you think
Hmm.
about it,
Hmm.
if uh, if you ensure yourself that when you pass away, so and so is going to be able to keep your house and keep the life that they've become accustomed to. Or if you don't pass away and you need medical coverage and you know that's going to happen, you have a family history of that, then you can
Hmm.
put some type of rider on that policy and have that taken care of. Or you know dividing up that insurance policy amongst folks. I have a horrible story. When I was quite a bit younger, I met this woman who could barely afford rent or food,
Oh.
but she really wanted her offspring to have some money when she passed away. So she did just about everything she could in order to make sure that that payment to the insurance policy was happening, that it happened on a
Hmm.
monthly basis. And it
Hmm.
pretty much killed her. Pretty much. She didn't have
Wow.
very much around. And it got so bad that her children were the ones that told me about her and that I should talk with her, because sometimes they had to supplement her income so that she could actually make that payment.
Payment.
Because,
Wow.
once you stop making the payment, then and
That's
the
it. But
policies.
that's what I'm saying. See, that's how she was raised because that's how her grandparents raised her, and their grandparents, whenever they were free or wherever, they were able to have that accessibility to the insurance, and the insurance was a major thing, especially in our communities, in the Black communities. You know, that was one of the very first regular payments that we stayed on top of, that our ancestors stayed on top of, mainly because they did not want to be a burden on, and they didn't have anything else to leave, right? So, you know, it's not like I have a home, it's not like I have this. So at least in my death, I can leave you with a little bit of a peace of mind. You can bury me, and then you can have a little bit of money to go do something. That's the mentality. That was the mentality, and in some cases, still the mentality. In the those that are the lesser, have the less the ones that are not the have-nots. There you go. The
Yes,
have nots.
yes. Very well said. Very
Yes.
well said. Very well said. So I'm gonna turn the tables on you, and I didn't even tell
Okay.
you that I was gonna do this, but just
Uh,
wondering, do you have a "Don't be this guy" for those of us?
um, I have some don't be this guys in the sense that in talking about this topic, these four topics, that yeah, there are a lot of my clients. You know, my clients are pretty much self-employed, small business owners, minority small business owners, right? And they made this, and a lot of times this is their second act. So they have a first act that they were an employee somewhere, but once they leave that, you know, they're not looking at, okay, what do I do with if I had an SHSA when I moved out, when I left my job. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't talk to anyone when it was time to retire, right? I just like, okay, I'm retiring. So fill out the paperwork. I'm gone, right? And
Yeah,
then a
yeah.
couple years later, that house note, whatever loan they may have had, may make some major changes, which is what happened in 2008 with the recession. So many people had balloon payments at the end of their house note, and now they're retired or lost their jobs or whatever, and they're not going to go back into the workforce. And so that was a rude and very loud awakening, and a lot of them lost their homes based upon that. So, and then they didn't have the adequate amount of insurance to take care of uh, their afterlife, to make sure
So
that their
true.
houses were maintained. If they left a house to
Mhm.
a family member, they couldn't pay the property taxes. Just a lot
Yeah.
of those, and I think that's common for don't be that guy, right?
I do, and I think you're hitting on a lot of major themes. If I could boil that down to one or two, I would
Mm-hmm.
say you don't want to be the guy that doesn't understand insurance. You
Mm-hmm.
want to understand insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 1A would be if you have a partnership, and many people do, when they get out of when they stop working, they join up with someone to pool the resources to start that family business. If you
Mm-hmm.
do that, you definitely want to understand the buy sell insurance policy. You
Mm-hmm.
definitely want to do that because if you don't, there's a very good chance you could be in business with someone's spouse, and that may not be a very good idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, one, know about insurance, especially when it comes to business. And number two, definitely get a buy sell agreement if you have a partner. And then number two, I would say, I think you were alluding to is whatever it is it 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, get that savings nest egg. Figure out what 7, 8 months of savings of bills is so that you can live with that. Now, I say that to folks, and folks think, well, should I wait in order to make that? It may take you 5 years to get to 7 or 8 months worth
Mm-hmm.
of
Good
bills,
point.
right? Right?
Good
And
point.
that's fine. That's
Right.
fine. I have no problem with that. Just put a little bit of money away because time is your friend when it comes to qualified plans and investing. So if it takes you 5 years or 6 years, fine. Just put a little bit away, a little bit away. Maybe push will come to shove and 3 months in, you'll have a catastrophe, but now you've got a little bit of money saved up, right? So if it takes you 5 or 6 years, that's fine. Just put that away. And that does a lot of things for people. I mean, the first thing it does is it frees you up so that you can invest, right? You can say, well, I got my 5 or 6, I'm sorry, my 6 or 8 months set away. So if something happens to me, we're okay. All right. So let me take a look at what I can do over here. So that's my 1A/2. get, get six
And
or
I
8 months and no
Yeah, six
insurance,
or eight
especially
months.
life.
And so that means it's really important. And I talk to people about this both from a personal standpoint and from a business standpoint. Budgeting is an amazing thing. Understanding exactly how your money is flowing, and I'm as well as being a business coach, my practice is accounting and bookkeeping for small business owners, and so budgeting. When I talk to my clients, budget can help you make better decisions within your business. So budgeting also helps you make better decisions for your home life, and I think and you can your opinion on this. I think what we're going through now versus based upon COVID is, and the argument is, the stimulus programs, the unemployment insurance is finally giving a people an opportunity to, because it is in some cases more money than they're accustomed to making, but now at least they can put something away when it is time to really go back to work full time. They're not living on that edge, because I don't know about you, Jevon, but I watched my mom, and she was a single mother, and I watched her struggle. I mean, she was an amazing homekeeper, worker, fantastic mom, but how she had to manage every penny, every dime, always being on the forefront, and she still was able to put money aside, and she was worried about when she was gone and make sure that her children were fine, but it was a major worry, which I think really added to her becoming ill in her latter life, was because she worried so much about money, and worrying about money can kill you.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, and it's not just with trying to make ends meet. Well, it is kind of around trying to make ends meet. My colleagues and I, we talk about financial literacy, and one of the things around that is understanding money, understanding how you deal with money, as well as how your partner deals with money. But going back to what you were saying, with regard to a budget, I think you're absolutely correct. I think that's one of the things that the stimulus packages have done for folks, the tax breaks have done for folks, is allowed them to, especially in the situation where you're talking about, where they're making a little bit more than they used to make, it's allowed them to go, let me put a little bit aside. And so, why should I go to work if I can do that? I mean, there's the argument that they're making more than they were, and you got to think, if that's the case, we really need to look at that pay situation on both sides of the fence, right?
Both sides of the
The
fence. So
employer
that's
and the employee, both of those. Um, but yeah, if you can put away some cash, if that's what's happening, because that next pandemic might happen in a little
and
bit.
it won't be so, and so like on that both sides, right? If I got something put away so that in for the next pandemic, which I know is going to come, then I won't be so dependent on the federal government, because I have got some stuff that I've taken care of. I realize that anything can happen, something like a pandemic that the last time this took place was 1917. So, even our grandparents may not even have been born.
Sure, sure.
So definitely not something that we understood. So if that's the case, let's look at that. And if you're helping them out right now, they're going to go back to work. I mean, because you can't stay like this forever. And they want to get back out there. They really truly do. They really truly want to get out there. And people, ultimately, not me. I prefer working like I'm working right now. I prefer working at home. But most people want to get home. They want to get back to work. They want their children to go back to school. They want what they deem to be the normal life. And the normal
Mhm.
life means I leave the house and I go someplace to work and I make a check. That's the normal perceived life, right?
Okay.
So,
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you.
right. So I think when you're not having to worry about how you're going to feed your children, how you're going to keep the roof over your head, and you have some regular monies coming in, I think that really helps the country in a broader sense than we can even possibly imagine.
I think you're right. I know you're right.
Yeah.
Most of us want to have enough money to live on when we retire, but that
Hmm.
morphs itself into a monthly paycheck, right? So many of us that did work, we want to make sure that that check keeps coming in. Maybe a
Hmm.
little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but that check keeps coming in. Oh, so the check's coming in. Okay, the Social Security check is coming in. The checks
Hmm.
are coming in. We want to make
Hmm.
sure that's happened. Um, and as our topic would sort of allude to, having the right life insurance, having the HSA there, having
Hmm.
a budget can help
Hmm.
you do that. And I think it's so important for parents to teach your children. That's what you really need to do. You really need to budget. So once you get your little money and you got your little purse or your little piggy bank,
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with setting up a budget right then and there. This is how much we're going to put for savings. This is what we're going to do for the birthday present. This is what we're going to do
Hmm.
for whatever it is that you do. This is how much we're going to contribute. All of that. Start young with that. Get that mindset in there because I tell all of my clients if we talk a little bit about it now, you're not going to have to worry about it later.
Right, exactly. And you
Just a
also with
little
with
bit.
that budget, when it comes time to retire, you'll know obviously your certain things are going to be reduced anyway, right? Your transportation monies are going to be reduced. The repair on your vehicles are going to be reduced because you're at home. You're not traveling out like you were when you were going to work. Eating out is an extreme expense, and
It
you
is, but
do.
remember, we also realize that people spend more money when they retire
Right, because
instead
they're
of
doing
less money.
things. Yeah, because they're
They're
doing
doing more
things that they
things.
like to do. Yeah,
Yeah, and they're
that's true.
paying medical bills, that they didn't have beforehand, they're
Mhm.
getting glasses and stuff like that, and they're living longer, which means
Mhm.
that you're going to be spending more. So I think for those reasons alone, you may not know what that end is going to be.
Mhm.
But a couple of things you can do is get that 6 or 7 months, get those buckets set up, and then try to talk with a financial advisor about what those buckets may look like, what those needs are going to look like, plan for that retirement. And, I always say you got to have a plan, but the reason you have to have a plan is it's a starting place,
Yes.
right? I mean, if you
Yes.
come to my colleagues who are financial advisors and you say to them, okay, I want you to help me plan for retirement. Well, one of the few questions that come out of their mouth at first should be, what do you want to do when you retire? What's your plan?
Mhm.
If you don't have that, then you've got no starting point. We really can't help you. You have to think about what you want to do, what's going to happen. And there's a lot of tools out there. I was just reading an article today about managed accounts. There's a lot of tools out there where people want to take some of that burden off of you with regard to figuring out how to save. But if you don't have a plan as to what you want to do, we're really kind of stuck,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So just in the mindset, changing the mindset. I think it's you got to change that mindset to make sure you're embracing. But I do think it's so important that people talk to a retirement plan advisor and specialist because we just don't know all the points, right? We just our head's been down in taking care of the day to day, every day that you guys have all the expertise. You know what the economy is going to look like at least past tomorrow. Whereas, all right, my
I know I got
reality and
shocked
your reality
today.
is different.
I don't know. I was running my credit cards and that credit default swap too. I was all up in it. So, you have to be careful, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're all like that. Um, I can remember calling the plumber to fix something, my garbage disposal, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
And I'm pretty sure that all he did was disconnect a couple of pipes and take the old one
Yeah.
out and stick the other one in and do a couple of adjustments. That's probably all he did. Probably, right? But I don't know, and I don't want to know. I just want to know enough to call him to
Right.
see, to have a little bit of understanding as to what's going on and what it's supposed to be looking like and how to take care of it. I don't have to know how the garbage disposal works. I don't want to know how the garbage disposal works. I just want to know that it does, and we go through it, right? So I want to do my maintenance things, right? I don't want to put
Okay.
stuff in there that's not supposed to be in there, and I want to know when the red light comes on, what to, that kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
I don't want to wake up one day and it don't work,
It don't work.
and I thought it was supposed to. I don't want that,
Now
and I don't want to know.
I'm gonna give you another don't be that guy story, right? So a guy I was dating, uh uh the his son had plugged in something that blew out the lights on one of the walls. It was his son's room. It
Yeah.
sparked something he had done. I'm not sure what he had done, but his kitchen, the stove didn't work, and he always had the light. It was like, why are you doing? What's happening here? Why there's no lights in this side of the house? I'm not understanding. So he went on to tell me the story. I said, well,
Yeah.
did you call in an electrician? Yeah, he's going to charge me thousands and thousands of dollars, $3,000. I said, really? And so I said, well, show me where all of this originated. So he showed me, and I was like, so my brother-in-law is in, he did, before he retired, he was the facility manager at UCLA. And so he managed all of the housing on the UCLA property. So they always had electricians and all that. So I asked him about it. He goes, oh, that's probably just need to go into the outlet and make a change and change out the outlet box. And then it'll all come back. I said, really? I said, is that difficult? He goes, no, you can probably see that on a YouTube video and make that work. I said, really? So I went and found it on a YouTube video. When I came back, I said, so here's how you fix this. He went, huh? I said, here, how you fix this. So that's what we did. I said, we're going to the hardware store and we're going to learn we're going to get what we need. My brother-in-law had told me what we need to do. You just need some tools. You're going to do the manual labor and I'm going to direct you on how to do that. So I said, we got to turn off all the power.
Funny how that works now.
And that's exactly what he did. And so he's like, this is not going to work. He's sweating. This is not going to work. I said, it's either the $3,000 that they're going to charge you to fix it or the under $50 for the darn outlet yourself. So we fixed it and I saved him $3,000.
Nice. Nice. A whole lot of lessons in there that my male ego doesn't want to admit to. We'll just gloss over those, but there's some really important lessons in there as well with regard to knowing enough so that you can do it yourself. You don't have to build the house, right? You don't have to know how that works, but changing a light bulb and doing your part and figuring out how to fix that little part, that's important. And that's the way that your retirement plan is. You don't have to study the market and know which stocks to buy. And I have a friend that tells me I need to know what's up because while I'm not making money here, there's money going crazy out there and I want to be a part. No, you don't. You just need to know a little bit about who you are and how you feel, and then you can talk with a financial planner. You can come up with a plan. We love doing this kind of stuff. Call it, if you have a retirement plan, a 401k plan, call the person up that's your representative. They want to talk to you. Trust me, they do. Even if you have no money, they want to talk to you. If you are working for yourself, you got your own small business, you got to find somebody you can talk to. And you're going to pay them. And that, and I hate to bring this up, but one of the things we didn't talk about in our list of four, we kind of talked about it, but it was actually the reduction of fees. So before we go, I just want to touch on that really quick.
Okay.
Um, Most people understand that if you reduce your fees, that's going to be better. So they go for the least amount of fees as possible. And it's just like when you go buy a car, you want to get the best deal you can. But
Mm-hmm.
many of us understand that we don't know how to fix a car, and we have
Yeah.
never seen the engine, and we don't want to fool with taking care of the car, so we buy that warranty and take it back. And I think that's one of the things you have to worry about with regard to your retirement plan. What kind of fees are acceptable? How is this going to cut into my retirement? Because any financial planner will tell you that 1% in fees is going to cost you X percent with regard to lack of money that you're going to have.
Right.
So it's incumbent upon all of us to look at the fees that we're paying, understand if those are appropriate, and get the most out of those fees, if not straight out reduce those fees. And we can
Right.
talk about the things that investment companies do in order to justify their fees and how those affect you. That we can do that on a different show. But
Mm-hmm.
it is important to be aware of your fees, understand what you're paying, and if you can reduce those fees and be cognizant of the level of service you're going to get when you do that. Because sometimes it's very important that you do reduce your fees.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, right?
Okay.
You know, I've bought I have a vehicle that I bought. I bought a motorcycle, no warranty. They've been making that same motorcycle the same way for the last 10 years. They've had time to make it right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I didn't feel like I needed a warranty. When I
Okay.
bought my car, though, I needed a warranty. I've never
Mm-hmm.
seen the engine in that car, so I needed a warranty. So the
Mm-hmm.
fees that I had to pay were different. So it's
Mm-hmm.
essentially very, very little fees for the motorcycle, but ostensibly dramatically higher fees with regard to the car. So, you have to understand that and be comfortable with that, and your
Mm-hmm.
financial advisor can help you do that.
Okay.
So don't
Mm-hmm.
be afraid to ask, but you do need to know about fees, and that kind of goes into the house and
Mm-hmm.
the car note and whatever. I have a friend, and I'll let you go, who lost her job during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm. Many.
but she got another job that was, I guess, 6 blocks from her home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and so she had a car, and she was really looking forward to getting another car. And I looked at her and I said, "Why?" She says, "Well, I really love the freedom, and I just want to go someplace." And I said, "You could rent a car for that." A car is expensive. We have
Mm-hmm.
the gas, the maintenance, the
Mm-hmm.
storage. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
expensive. So now she has, I don't know, a couple of grand left over a month that she didn't have before. Um, I say to put in her retirement plan, but she doesn't listen to me. But she's got some more money. You didn't need that expense. She didn't need that fee. Right? She could
Right. So
just
now she can save that for either her 6 months of emergency funds, or
there you go.
save that a portion of that one, maybe split it up and save it to pay cash for a car. And then
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to have a monthly payment if you can avoid the monthly payment. And now you just
Yeah.
have your insurance. I mean, if
Yeah.
that's what
Or
she
she could
wanted.
take me out to lunch. That'd be nice.
Oh, there you go. And she can take you out to lunch. She has extra money now.
Extra money now. Exactly. Exactly. Well, Crystal, I want to say thank you so much for joining me here. It's always, always a pleasure. Um, we'll have to connect and see what we're going to talk about next week.
All righty,
And
most definitely.
that's just great. So I'm going to read your bio on the way out because I want everybody to know who you are as soon
Okay.
as I find it here. Okay. Are we ready? This is
Mm-hmm.
Crystal Mitchell. Are you ready?
Drum roll.
Okay. Crystal Mitchell, business coach, consultant, CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, a weekly online radio show, instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and
Mm-hmm.
QuickBooks Pro Advisor and financial strategist. That is Crystal Mitchell. Thank you so much for being on the show. I am Jevon Thomas, retirement plan advisor, and I want to thank all of you as well. And I think that's it, unless you have some closing
I know.
comments.
I think it's all well. So you guys tune in next week. We have another riveting conversation going on, and just those things that you want to have on conversations on the patio on how the second part of your life should pan out, right? So that
Indeed.
you're no surprises, just making sure you have it all worked out. So we want to thank you, and we've had a fantastic time today. And so enjoy your week, and we will see you next Monday.
Awesome. Bye now.
Bye bye.